HO Talk Show.
Know that we were celebrating our own.
Yes.
So grateful for that. I love walking into, I'm relatively new to the Charlottesville city school system, but I love walking into our school, walking down our school hallways and seeing representation. It is certainly important that our kids see people that look like them doing things that they may aspire to do. But it is also equally important to see our counterparts, to have our counterparts see us in positions.
Yes.
That a bias or whatnot may kind of jade their way of looking at those type of things. And so I'm happy about it.
Yes,
Thank you for being here.
Thank
and we
you.
certainly want to talk about, we'll give you an opportunity to kind of introduce yourself, talk about your history here in Charlottesville and Charlottesville City Schools. But just know that for every student, we appreciate what you do.
I'm grateful. I'm very thankful to be here. Thankful.
Yeah. So go ahead, Charles.
I was going to say, how about we start off with how it feels to be recognized, right? Like, the award itself. For those that don't know, like maybe, let us know, like how that process works as far as the nomination and like what you were recognized for, as far as like what place in education that you have here that you were recognized for.
Well, first, I'm very grateful. It's humbling to be recognized for your work.
How many years in the school system?
I've been working in the school system over about 23 years. Okay. It's been about 23, almost 24 years. And I grew up in this area and am thankful to be recognized for it. It's very humbling. Working with the students over the years, I started actually at MACA years ago, but my position worked within the school system. And with this being recognized Teacher of the Year as an educator, it was my colleagues at K-Tech that first nominated me. And then I had to go through a process where I would have to answer some questions and tell a little bit about my background and my career. And there was a committee within the school division that selected me among my other colleagues in the different schools as the Educator of the Year for Charlottesville City Schools. I do have to say, when I'm recognized for that, it also does not come alone, because as an educator, you're built up by your colleagues. And every educator in this role, you do this for a reason. It's your passion to see students grow and develop. And so there's so many educators that may not be recognized specifically as the Educator of the Year, but they are Educators of the Year every day. And I'm grateful for that.
That's right. Now, was it, everybody's a little different with that. So when you had to kind of give your resume, so to speak, like, are you normally a humble person, or did you have that CV ready and like, look at, this is what I do?
That's a great question, because I have to say I'm very to myself. I've always been that humble, quiet person. But I also am a person who I believe in God, and I ask God to help his light shine through me every day. And it's funny, this year I thought I said that, and then it came back on me because I've gotten recognition that I wasn't expecting to get. And I thought, I asked for this, and God is letting his light shine through me, and I want to make sure I'm honoring and respecting him through that.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
So I got a question came to me while you were talking, and this is a difficult one.
Yes.
Some people are not going to like that I'm going to ask this question, but in light of the current political, social climate, I'm sure a lot of people were nominated. And some were, I'm sure, very supportive of you having won this award. Others may view it as a DEI thing. Which is full with a lot of bull. But anyway, so what is that something you've dealt with, considered at all in this nomination or award? What are your views in general?
This is what I will say. I believe in an old hymn. It's may the work I've done speak for me.
Okay.
And when I was honored with this, I was at home because I was on leave. I had a recent surgical procedure, and I got a text from one of my former colleagues and say, Adriane, have you looked on Facebook and seen all the comments for your recognition? Well, I'm not a Facebook person.
Okay.
So I went on our school website and I saw all the comments from people that I work with now and people that I worked with and students and families that I worked with, and I could see them across the board and made the work I've done speak for me.
There you go.
So in that sense, I would say I honestly didn't have to say anything. It was there, right there in front of my eyes. In fact, I got teary-eyed and I would have to stop for a while. And then I'd go back and look at more comments. So I would say in that sense, the work I've done, I'm thankful to say it is speaking for me. And so that support came across the board. And I can't, of course, determine what other people are thinking in their head, but right there visually before my eyes, the support came across the board. And people who I worked with years ago were making comments. And so I'm very grateful in that sense. So I would say there are things out there that other people may think. I don't know. It hasn't come directly to me. But in that sense, it was very visual to me.
Very clear. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that, because there are folks who manipulate that into saying that individuals are given opportunities, of course, just because. But like you said, there's evidence of the job that you've done and how well you've done it. So appreciate you.
Absolutely. And we are speaking with Charlottesville City Schools Teacher of the Year, Adriane Butler. And so we also have K-Tech. And I think some folks remember that K-Tech has been through, a lot recently. There was even time, I think just a few years ago, to where they were talking about whether to close the doors, and it was debate over, who was going to manage it, county schools, city schools, that sort of thing. But for those who are familiar with K-Tech, just give us that overview of what K-Tech provides our local community.
K-Tech has high school programs as well as adult education programs. Our programs help students. We say we do workplace readiness. So there are specific programs that we have for students that will help them develop their skills in particular subject areas so that they can be ready for the workforce. It might be in electricity, carpentry, auto services, tech, vet science, firefighting, cosmetology, culinary arts, nurse aid. We have different programs in the high school program, and then we also have adult programs too.
Awesome. That is good stuff. And your role there, tell us a little bit more about like what you do on a day-to-day when it comes to the services that you provide, whether it be the high school students or maybe an adult from the community. How do you interact with the population?
Specifically, I support the high school program. We do have an adult program, but there's a separate, office or division for that piece. So I mainly work with the high schools. We have students from Albemarle County, Charlottesville schools, and Fluvanna schools, and we're expanding. We also have homeschool students come. So I work daily with the other high schools. We call our base schools, where our students come from, and I provide support for the students mental health wise, emotionally, but also provide connections with them, with their base schools, how the student's doing, support services that we have available for them, and connecting them so that the school knows how they're doing at K-Tech, what we can do to continue to recruit students for our schools. We do tours. I do a lot of tours with students who are looking at K-Tech as an option. Some students don't know about K-Tech, so we want to make sure we're opening our doors to all students so that they know what services we have available to them.
And I'm sorry, and I may have missed this. When you say base schools,
so for example, we have students from Charlottesville High, so that would be their student's base school, or a student from Monticello High, so that would be that student's base school.
So you serve the students. What I'm really getting to is that you serve the students, city school students, as well as those in surrounding counties.
Yes.
Okay.
So we are Charlottesville area community.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful resource.
A great resource, and like Max already mentioned, the potential implications of DEI. Right now, let me say that I've always been a great proponent of trades and technical education and whatnot. And I'm sure you probably recall, like my generation coming through high school, like within the 90s, there seemed to be a huge push, and you can sort of see the shift in our educational system to where it felt like a push for everybody to go to the biggest universities you can get into.
Yes.
And I think also, like, economically, it seemed like the time to where we became more, as a country, more consumers than producers, right? And so, like, exports went through the roof and all that stuff because a lot of folks just didn't have skills. It was all about, it almost felt like you weren't looked at as a success,
right,
unless you went to a 4-year or you got you got some sort of grad degree and things like that. So I'm curious if you feel that technical training is separate from when it comes to any sort of DEI initiatives that our school systems may be facing right now, or do you feel like that it could be at risk?
I would say, working with students, we have to think about, what do our students need and want.
Mm-hmm.
And when I think about K-Tech, we have students
good place to start, by the way.
Yeah. And we have students who are at K-Tech who their goal is to go to college. We have dual enrollment classes where students get college credit for. We also have programs where students may not desire to go to college and they're going straight into the workforce, or they want to continue their post-high support and education through a community college or through our adult education program. Whatever that path may be for that student, as far as with K-Tech and other programs, we have to look at, what do our students need. We also have students of various backgrounds at K-Tech. So when I think about DEI, I think about at K-Tech, we're looking at what does that student need and want? What is that desire of that student? So I truly believe K-Tech will continue to be around because it fulfills a need for so many students. We have students who really come to K-Tech and they soar because there's a lot of hands-on piece. There's also a lot of academic work in there. We provide academic classes for them also, like English and government and econ and personal finance. So they can also take a few academic classes there. But as far as the DEI piece, I truly believe K-Tech is one of those programs that meets the diverse needs of many students. We have students of various backgrounds. So I truly believe K-Tech will continue to be around because there's that need there.
Awesome. Definitely hope so.
And so these programs are 2 4-year programs? And
we have at K-Tech, our high school programs, there are some that are 1-year programs.
Okay.
And then there are programs that are 2-year programs.
Okay.
So we mainly serve students who are 11th and 12th graders, and sometimes we have 10th graders also.
Okay. And then students take the certification at the completion of the program and are ready for the job market pretty much upon graduation.
Yes.
Okay.
Good stuff. That's awesome. That's awesome. So I bet that some of the kids light up as well, like when they get the education on, or when they're informed about what the opportunities that the technical education can actually bring them, right? Because it surprises some folks that a lot of times you start with a higher salary even, and you don't have as much as a school debt. Like if you go to a tech school, you pick up a trade or whatnot. Like, so what's that process like as far as the communication to students to show them the offerings and availability? Because again, I'm sure that there's some who also feel that pressure. And you, if you put sort of like your counselor hat on, like I'm sure there's some who feel the pressure, right? Of like, well, I really am passionate about this trade. Like I really want to pick this up. I feel like I have these skills, but they may even have a family expectation that like I can't do, like I gotta get this, degree or whatnot, but I don't feel like I really need to. Like, what is that counseling session like, or how do you all communicate to kids when they're making those choices?
We work closely, with the base schools. A lot of our students that come to K-Tech have peers who have been at K-Tech or know other people. My brothers went to K-Tech when they were in school, and they've heard things about K-Tech, but we really are starting to see the importance of starting younger so that students know what's available to them, educating parents on what K-Tech provides for students so that they know that there are opportunities beyond universities and colleges. We also have students who are starting in 8th grade that come to do tours with us so that they can see what opportunities that we have, so that when they're starting to think of their educational plan with their school counselor, they say K-Tech is the place I want to go to make sure that they're taking the correct classes so that they'll be prepared at the moment it's their time to be at K-Tech, that they can have all those classes in place for them, and they'll be able to take those courses at K-Tech.
And let's talk about capacity. How soon, and I don't know if I experienced this with city schools or when me and my family lived out in Greene County, but how soon does an individual who may be interested in attending classes at K-Tech need to get on the wait list and let people know that that's what they're interested in?
Sooner the better.
Okay.
Many of our 8th graders are starting to look at high school and how they're going to plan out their courses. So that is a great time to talk to your parents, to talk to your school counselor about what you want to do for your career. Some students don't know what they want to do, of course, and that's why we do the tours, because they don't know what opportunities are there at K-Tech, or they don't know what opportunities are available in their community. So giving them that exposure is a big piece for them. But I will also say we have students that come to K-Tech their 12th grade year, and so it's not, I would say, any opportunity that you can talk to your school counselor to say, this is what I'd like to do, or I'd like to explore this, is a great time to start doing that. So 8th grade is a great time to start thinking about K-Tech.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Well, Charles, I mean, I'll keep going in the same vein of kind of like the additional services that students need. You said that you're a school counselor, have been for many years. Before we came on air for this interview, we talked about what our students need aside from being prepared to go into the workforce, or what they need after graduation. And it's a lot, right?
Yes.
Elaborate that on a little bit more from the counselor's perspective.
Yes. I've worked with students beginning in preschool, because at our elementaries, we currently have students that are preschool age students. And as a school counselor, when I was in elementary school, many of our students are carrying a weight on them. Many of us as adults are carrying weight on us. If we don't have the coping skills to develop and to be able to deal with those weights that we're carrying, it's very hard to function in a classroom and to develop your skills in math and reading when you're also carrying other weight on your shoulder.
And you're recognizing this.
Yes.
Preschool, kindergarten level.
Yes.
Wow.
On up.
Yeah.
And I remember being in the elementary setting. One of the things I loved about being a school counselor is I would do life skill lessons with every student in every classroom every week. I don't want to assume students have coping skills. There are various challenges we all come across, and some of those challenges can come unexpectedly out of nowhere. And to have coping skills, it can really help you with every aspect of your life, whether it's having listening skills, whether it's being able to have self-control, whether it's being able to have problem-solving skills. They're skills
Express
that we
emotions.
all need. And for me, always having that opportunity to help students develop those life skills, those coping skills, has been something from preschool on up that I've seen students really need. So in this field, not just the students, but the adults, we all have stressors in our life. So being able to have those skills to help us manage that is a big piece.
And so schools are kind of, exacerbating the issue that these students are dealing with outside of school. Yes. So starting in our home.
Right.
Starting in our home.
Right. And that is communicating with each other. It is a key for when a parent will tell me, Miss Butler, we're dealing with this at home, or, my mother is sick right now and it's been very challenging for our family. When you hear a parent come and share that information with you, it helps you see, okay, now I see why, this student is struggling with focusing right now. Right now their grandmother is very sick and this is a person they care about. I can understand why they're dealing with this right now. When you see a family going through some financial challenges, when you hear those things, it can help you understand your students.
Right. Yeah. And how much of that weight is for the school system to bear?
That is a challenge that we constantly are dealing with. It takes a village. When things happen, often, whether it's in the community or wherever, people are constantly looking for who can we blame or who can we put that on. It takes a village. It is something we all need support with. in education, we do this because we have a passion to help our students do the best that they can do, but we can't do it alone. We need the support of our community. So having those connections has been a big piece. I have always loved having partnerships with agencies and building trust and being able to refer families that might need additional support and having that connection and network with other agencies that I can say, let's contact this person so that we can get you some support with this. So it does take a village.
And we're actually, real quick, Charles, I'm going to have a candidate for City School Board on the show later today. And so I preface that with saying, do you feel like the school board is supporting the schools, those issues in a sufficient manner, or what more can they do? Is it come down to a funding thing? Is it come down to a human capital, a staffing thing? How can you be better supported, or the schools be better supported in better servicing the students?
That's a challenging question. Partnerships are a big piece for us. I would say right now it is very challenging because we are dealing with a lot of mental health issues in our schools.
Across the board.
And I think we're adjusting to see how can we provide more support. In the schools, we have what's called morning meetings. And those are things that are supported from our school boards, that we have time for our students to come together and be able to develop the sense of community. So I see that we are working towards that. I think it's a constant sense of being able to reevaluate yourself and see, where's that need at? What do we need to do to make adjustments? So I think that's a challenge that we all have in the school system, not just the school board, but in every aspect. We're trying to adjust to how can we support our students more.
Yeah, and a nuance of that is when we think about the community partnerships, as you're referencing, and we talk about mentorships and things of that sort. Like, I can only imagine, and even speaking from when I remember my own experience in high school, that presenting something like a technical skill and training could be something that a child needs. Like, maybe they're just disengaged with the normal, school bell schedule. And they just need something to grab their attention to attach. So I'm curious, is K-Tech ever used in that regard, to sort of maybe try to figure out, like, hey, like, what is it that, like, that you want to get from your education?
Right? It's a great opportunity for students to explore the options that are available to them. Students will come there and they will find this can be a place for students to really develop their skills and see, like, this is really what I want to do. And that's why we do the tours, because sometimes students really don't know what's out there for them. And then we had a tour the other day and we had students come in, and one was very quiet. Just, you could tell, just kind of taking in, what K-Tech was about and the atmosphere. And by the time that student left the building, that student was talking, I hadn't heard the student say anything, smiling, because they saw something at K-Tech that really sparked their interest. So we try to help them. They get to hear from the students. We have the students really share what it's like to be a K-Tech student, what they experience. And I think them hearing the students talk about how they developed themselves at K-Tech, how my instructor really worked with me. I really came in not feeling good about, myself or confident in my abilities. And then I came here and my instructor really worked with me. Everyone needs something different. And to be able to find a place where you feel like this is something that works for me is a great place for our students. And so we found that K-Tech is that place for many of our students.
So how is K-Tech funded? Is it part of the local school budget, or is it city funded?
It is part of the school system. So yes.
Okay. And see, and that's the side of DEI that I was thinking of, because when you think about the threat that our Department of Education is under, right? And then, so when you think about sort of skills because, if we're being totally real about it, we seem to be moving to a place to where, like, public education isn't important in the eyes of our federal government. So it's like, if you can pay to learn a skill or trade, then you'll be okay. So that's more what I was thinking. And, and God forbid that happens, but when you look at the attack that public education is under right now, like you would think that we definitely need to put a hedge around programs such as K-Tech.
Yes.
Yes, and do you all, out of curiosity, track, like, I don't know if efficacy is the right word, but the rate once the students graduate, are they getting jobs in the industry where they've been certified? And yes,
okay. We try to check in with our students to see, do you have a current job, or are you going on to a university? Are you going? Where their next steps?
Yes. Okay.
And you're getting a lot of good shout outs from our listeners online as well. Folks, glad to hear you online and shouting out all the great services. So we do have one question as well. That's what's the percentage of students that take a trade that turn their experience into businesses? Do y'all keep those stats? Or?
I honestly can't say I know the percentage off the top of my head. So I don't want to say something that's incorrect.
Right. Yeah. Is that something that's like that you would say is accomplished more often than not?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yes. And part of our programs, especially when we have a 2-year program, their second year, many of our students go into the community and we do what's called work-based learning, where they actually, so for example, an auto tech student might work at a local auto service company in Charlottesville. So we may not see them in our doors every day, but they're developing those skills, and it's a safe way for them to us to keep a connection with our partners and for the students to develop those skills.
Yeah. That's definitely a great community partnership that if anybody's listening, I think should happen if it's not already. We think about like CIC, right? And you think about the chamber and and folks like that, to where you have those businesses and whatnot that provide those trainings and things. So,
yes,
indeed. So we are delighted to be joined by none other than Charlottesville City School Teacher of the Year, Miss Adriane Butler from K-Tech, the Charlottesville Area Technical Education Center. So Miss Butler, what I read was that you get to represent the city's schools for being Teacher of the Year at like a regional or like a national Teacher of the Year program.
I'm hearing there's a state program, so that's the next step. So I'm representing for Charlottesville City Schools for the Virginia recognition. So I have to go to that next step. So we'll see where that goes.
That's awesome. Well, you're a great representation for us to have.
Look at God.
Sure. That's
yes.
right.
Look at God. Thankful.
That's
yes.
Right.
Very grateful.
Yep. So K-Tech, I mean, you said a lot. I'm curious, any closing words in regards to any of the any upcoming events that you may have coming up for students or for the public that may want to learn more about it?
Well, I would say to parents, if you want to know more about K-Tech, please look on our website. You'll be able to contact me, give me a call. It is a great opportunity for students to really see if they want to go further into their education or look at other opportunities for themselves that maybe they haven't considered. K-Tech is a great place for that. So I welcome families calling in, emailing me, asking more about what we do at K-Tech.
Great.
And adults as well.
Adults as well, please. Yes.
Good stuff. Cool. Miss Matt.
All right. Nothing more to say. We appreciate you. We truly thank you so much, because you're handling our future. And they're not always in good hands, but like you said, may the work you've done speak for you, and we trust that you're doing a good job for the city schools.
Thank you. It's been an honor.
Yes.